Commissioner Olivas will be joining remotely. Commissioner Benson is excused. And welcome, Mr. Travelstead, and to Mr. Eichenberg. Thank you for being here and joining us today.
And Madam Chair, just for the record, I am not seeing Commissioner Olivas on, so we will have to forego roll call votes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Approval of minutes. I move to approve the November 18th, 2025 Board of Finance meeting minutes. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Barbara Baca. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Any abstain? Aye, thank you. Have a pass. Presentation, item number 3, County Treasurer. Mr. Treasurer to present, and Mr. Travelstead, I guess.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Like you know me, I'm Ryan Travelstead, Deputy Treasurer under Treasurer Eichenberg, who's here in the audience. I'm going to jump right in. I noticed you had a pretty full agenda on the meeting after this one, so we'll kind of run through this pretty quickly. Before I get started, too, I also want to make an introduction of a special guest, Mr. Alan Shuttlesworth. He's the President and CEO of Maine Bank. He'll talk about the county's deposit that we have there with the bank briefly towards the end of the meeting. Jumping right in, agenda. I want to take this slide to highlight really what the team in the Treasurer's Office does. A lot of statistics there, and if you see all those numbers, that's just the months of November and December. So if you think about that for a split second, there's 17,000 people walked into the building to see the Treasurer's Office, 77,000 paper checks. So that's a large volume in 2 months. Those are our 2 busiest months of the year with property tax collection time. But anyway, I really nerd out on a lot of the data and statistics because it really puts it into perspective where you think of 77,000 pieces of paper. That's 77,000 paper cuts. Exactly. Yep. One thing too on the very bottom there, that $435 million distributed to 90 entities. Ciudad Soil and Water Conservation District. They were a new taxing entity for this tax year, so that was a pretty big, sizable lift to get on the tax bill. But we made it happen, so we're really pleased with that. Next slide, we'll jump into the employee update that we've talked through with you on the last couple of meetings. Essentially, the update now is that the county's Human Resources Department has the report and the list of recommendations. We sent that to them in December, and so we're anxiously awaiting their input on how that dovetails in with their processes. Guiding principles, I like to include this every meeting just so we can go back to it to remember. Safety is always first, liquidity, and then yield yield's only a consideration only after the first 2 are met. I like to include this one too, just in case if there's any discussion items that help to see the relationship between the different portfolios visually. Jumping into safety piece, collateral, we had $3.1 million of uninsured and uncollateralized balances at Wells Fargo. Very low risk with that in my opinion. Gross receipts tax, you can see that we're trending $145.4 million in fiscal year 26, so it's about 3% over fiscal year 2025. That yellow line there is the fiscal year 26 numbers, so you can see it kind of dipped there in November, jumped back up in December, and then in January. Now this is always weird because we make this report a few days before, like that we get the most recent distribution, but the most recent distribution we received was around $30 million, which was a little bit higher than usual, but welcome. And we'll report on that in the next quarter. How property taxes and gross receipts taxes are comparing to budget, we're right on track. 62% of the budget for property taxes collected, which is about normal for this time of year, maybe a little bit higher than usual, and gross receipts taxes right on par with 50% of the finished with the year. Coming into our portfolio balances, you can see as of December 31st, we had $983 million in par amount, and then the associated book yields. On that orangish, I guess, peach-colored column, I added that's what the book yield was at this time a year ago to see how that's changed. And so if you pay attention to any of the news with the Federal Reserve reducing interest rates, you can see a year ago we were earning 4 1/4. Now we're earning 3.7. So that's basically tied to the federal funds rate. So I'd like to keep that just to see where we were, where we are now. And so that if you start to see on the investment income numbers, why are we lower? Well, it's because of this reason. There's really 2 reasons also. If the balance that we have invested is lower, we'll earn less. This slide here talks about where our balance at the end of December compared with the previous year. So you can see there were around $45 million lower than we were December of 2025. A lot of that is primarily attributed to the spend down of the ARPA money that's going to be fully spent by the end of this calendar year. Graphical representation of that previous slide, just over a longer time span here, last 5 years. You can see we've kind of made our balances crept up there to 2023, and then after 2023 to now, we're slowly on a downward trend. The next several slides detail the underlying holdings of each one of the buckets of money. Nothing out of the ordinary, all compliant investment vehicles that we're invested in, cash matched, the core portfolio, the bond proceeds, and then how those maturities are structured. So it's, in my opinion, it's really good to see that we have enough cash on hand to pay bills, because we never really want to be in a position where we're forced to sell a security to pay bills. And then finally, investment income for the first half of fiscal year 2026, we're at $13 million. Little bit under previous fiscal year, but again, that's because of those interest rates that the Federal Reserve has started to bring down. And with this, I will turn it over to Deanne with Government Portfolio Advisors to talk about the investment strategy for the coming quarter. And not to steal any of her thunder, we're going to keep doing what we're doing.
Thank you, Director Travelsted.
Deanne, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Take it away.
Okay. Okay, nice to be in front of you today. So I'm just going to get my first slide up here.
Deanne, I have the slides up too if you want me to,
Okay.
if you just tell me next
Perfect.
slide.
So the first slide here is the asset allocation of each of the components of the portfolio. We continue to review this at every investment committee meeting. And at our last committee meeting, we determined to keep it the same level. We are trending and focused on the balances in that core account and the ongoing liquidity needs of the portfolio. So no recommended changes for the structure this quarter. Next slide. And then we do have maturities coming up in the cash match, and working very closely with Brian on the directions of the cash needs within the portfolio. So most of these are balanced to your ongoing payrolls. This portfolio has worked out really well for the county. It allows us to really know exactly where your flows are and have those securities maturing to meet those. And it's also added enhanced earnings over the portfolio, and we'll continue to drive that as very, very short-term rates decline. So we'll continue to manage that per the directions of Ryan and the cash needs within that portfolio. And then within the core portfolio, we are looking at a slight reduction in the investments longer than 7 years. So that's currently under continued evaluation, just to pull that duration down a little bit. But we're basically aligned to that overall duration target on that benchmark. And we will continue to invest per those strategies with investments not to exceed 7 years in duration on the portfolio. And then when we look at the various asset allocations, so we're currently focused on treasuries and agency securities within the portfolio. We are not purchasing supranationals right now, waiting to see what comes up. We just saw some news again yesterday on some focus of the federal administration looking at that World Bank type of relationship. So I'm really pleased with that trade that was done and coming out of that exposure. So at this point, we're just focused on the treasuries and agencies and those allocations to those. Next slide. And then with bond proceeds, we continue to take the direction from the team there on the exact maturities, and that continues to be balanced. And we have an upcoming bond proceed that will be working into the portfolio. So with that, those are the recommendations, and I'll hand it back to you, Ryan, unless there's any questions.
Any questions for Deanne?
Thank you so much, Deanne. And yeah, any questions from Commission? No
Okay.
questions, and thank you. I know we got a lot of information there. Looks like we're doing well, and thank you for the work you all do, Mr. Travelsted and Treasurer Eichenberg.
Perfect. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just quickly go over this in the investment policy updates. We've talked about this from August of last year. Essentially some really good conversations with legal, county manager, deputy county manager for finance, Ms. Shirley Reagan. On January 29th, we sent a revision, proposed revisions to the investment policy to the finance team to start, make sure that I captured everybody's perspective correctly. And so once we get that back, I'm about 99% sure that this is going to come in front of you for final adoption in the next Board of Finance meeting. And then now I'd like to take a moment to introduce Alan Shuttlesworth. He's the president and CEO of Main Bank. So the county has had a $5 million deposit with Main Bank since 2018. And Alan wants to give us I asked him to come to give a quick presentation on what he's been able to achieve in the community with that. So,
cool. Ryan,
Thank you.
Madam Chair, thank you for inviting me. Alan Shuttlesworth, President and CEO of Main Bank in Albuquerque. If you're unfamiliar with Main Bank, we are one of two locally owned community banks in Albuquerque.
Great.
With continued consolidation, the number keeps dwindling, which is the bad news. But hey, there's still some of us here who are around locally. We operate what's called the traditional community bank model, where we literally take the resources from our community, which are the deposits, and we put them back to work in our community exclusively. We do not do out-of-state lending. And so the point of the conversation now, as well as what the conversation we had with Bernalillo County back in 2018 when we started the program, was to put some more of these idle deposits that are sitting in the treasurer's office to work at a community bank if we can provide return protection and redeploy those funds back through the community through loans. And so that's what we do from time to time. It's not too onerous a requirement at all, but from time to time we will provide Treasurer's Office with updates as far as what is Main Bank doing with your money and who is Main Bank. Just a few high-level slides right here. Because of our lending and the style that we do it in and what we like to lend on, Main Bank was rated literally one of the top 25 lenders in the country for the SSBCI, which is the State Small Business Credit Initiative, just one program focusing on small business lending. The next item up here is SBA 504 loans. This is a specific SBA product, and Main Bank regularly is a top lender in the state. And these are loans exclusively for owner-occupied commercial real estate transactions. That's our preference. That's what we do, and we're one of the smaller banks in the state, but we tend to outperform, hit above our weight when it comes to this kind of lending activity in the state. We also need to make sure the county's deposits are protected and insured, and they are with an institution that is running a safe and sound organization that will remain in existence for a long time to come. This is one of many ratings that we just shared with you with the Treasurer's Office today, just to demonstrate our the quality, asset quality, essentially the viability of the bank, the financial capacity of the bank. So 5 stars is about as high as you can get under the Bauer rating. This information, all banks publish information quarterly, and these and the financial information gets extracted and put into these ratings. And so there's lots more information here, but this is the strength of Main Bank for your purposes. And then I may have exceeded this. Let me just highlight real quick. I'm going to go back to page 8, Ryan, if you don't mind, just to show one thing. The point of the discussion here is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Main Bank's deposits are in a highly liquid bucket, and there has a book yield of 3.70%. The specific deposit with Bernalillo County today for $5.5 million has the account at Main Bank is paying today 2.5%. And so that differential that the county is not getting, is getting a lower rate, quantifies it, calculates out to $66,000 a year. And so is that differential in yield worth what Main Bank is doing? What we're doing is, in 2023, we originated or modified 113 loans for a total of $59.7 million in loans, either new loan commitments, new lending, specifically in the state, mostly in Bernalillo County, or modified renewed loans. In 2024, we had 114 loans at $73.2 million. And then through September of 2025, we had 70 loans at that for the first 9 months of the year, translating to $38.9 million. And so the point is, this is the value of the $5.5 million in deposits that Main Bank has from the county that we get to reinvest and redeploy. And so for that, currently the yield differential is less, so it's $66,000 from a pure yield calculation. But what are the benefits for expanding businesses, hiring jobs, expanding real estate, expanding the tax base? So this is the discussion that we appreciate having, and if there's an opportunity for us to expand it with the Treasurer's Office, we will do so, and we'll also see if we can expand and help the Treasurer's Office, as well as the state of New Mexico, expand this program to other lenders in the state. Because if we can put idle deposits to work back in the state, I think that's going to dramatically help spur economic development. So I will stop there unless there's any questions.
Have some questions. I, of course, always have a couple questions.
Of course, of course.
I think this is so interesting and very exciting. And so so at Main Bank, which is, you're saying, so these dollars that come in, and when you say come back directly to the community in New Mexico. So any of these loans that you talk about, all these years of 59.7 million, 73.2 million, those are loans directly for properties or ownership in New Mexico?
100% correct.
100%. And then, and are there, I'm so interested, I love that, I love it so much, and I'm so glad you're investing in this, and that we're investing in this through your leadership. I don't really know that I have a big problem with this, so I hope it doesn't sound political. I'm not trying to make it political.
Sure.
How do you ensure that those folks are from New Mexico? Like, for instance, in my neighborhood, I live by the university and stuff, but it's also an area where during the last housing crisis, a bunch of people got West Side new homes, and then a bunch of out-of-state property owners bought the properties, and I live near the university, so it's a really great place because then you can live in California and just rent to a bunch of students that are in and out all the time anyways, and nobody's really caring for their house. And it's a guy, I've met the owners because they come once a year or something to clean stuff out. But so there's always someone from California or Texas, and yeah, they rent to students, which is a need also, so I'm not getting political about it. I'm just wondering, are they also included if they went for loans and that it would go back to them?
That's a wonderful point that you bring up. Some institutions would have no problem lending to that individual that's not based here. We would not do that. We do not do that. And we're primarily a business and commercial real estate lender for local owners. So if the ownership does not reside in New Mexico, if they're out of New Mexico, it's not going to happen at the bank. We also have collateral for all of our loans, and so we literally tie that to each refinance, each expansion, each construction, each purchase directly to a census tract, and we give that information to the county as well. So you can literally see where literally our loans are being generated from a geographical standpoint. But I think it's a wonderful question, but that's not our model. We don't do anything with out-of-state owners.
Thank you very much. I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, Vice Chair Baca.
Yes, thank you for that information and following up on the chair's question. That's good to know and important information. You said this is one of two community banks. Is that what I heard you say?
That's correct. Yes, headquartered in Albuquerque, so it's Main Bank and Southwest Capital Bank, also based downtown. Southwest Capital was one of, I think, 3 banks that in 2018, when Bernalillo County started this deposit program with community banks, Southwest Capital was also a bank that was a recipient of those deposits initially as well.
Gotcha. And so in terms of the loan program that you offer, what would you say is there an average amount of loan that you could describe to us, or what is the range perhaps of the loans that you give to small businesses or?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So for some context or for some perspective, Main Bank is about $260 million in total assets. From a banking standpoint, that's relatively small. That means that our legal lending limit to one individual or one entity is about $11 million. So we can't do projects larger than that. Our average loan size is right about $500,000. So our, for lack of a better term, our bread and butter is that lending, that loan, that project that's under $1 million. That's in that segment of the market does not get the attention with any national banks or regional banks, and so there's a few shops like Main Bank that we thrive in that opportunity because there's some good borrowers, good businesses at that smaller scale.
And just for my edification, in terms of the lower range of loans that you might be, what would be the sort of the minimum level range that you would be amenable to?
We don't have policy limits that restrict it. We're not designed to be a high volume consumer shop, so we don't do a lot of consumer lending. We specialize in business and commercial real estate transactions, but we've helped out from time to time in small dollar loan programs as low as $1,000. But we're just not designed to do a ton of those. We have one location here in Albuquerque, one branch, and so That would be a different volume change if we tried to expand in that market in a big way. And for context, we have about 500, maybe 450 total loans on the books at any one given time, and we're trying to increase that. Deposit customers are probably 2,000 to 3,000.
Well, thank you very much. It's happy to hear that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shuttlesworth. And Madam Chair, just to wrap it up here really quick, as Mr. Shuttlesworth mentioned about potentially expanding this program into other financial institutions, we've been working to understand some metrics that we can put into the investment policy revisions that will then allow us to expand this without needing to come back to the board with every single bank. You know, we're going to set up some high-level essentially metrics that we can look at to say, yes, this is what we really want to be doing with the county's deposits. So I'm excited for the investment policy. I'm maybe the only one in the audience, but I love this stuff.
I think it's important, Mr. Travis, and I think, you know, we should really find the county and your office should really find a way to make sure that this is out in the media, I think, and that our communities understand it because, and would hopefully go to the bank to support it even further. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Madam Chair, just really quick to summarize, this is a summary of essentially what Deanne had mentioned through her slides, just a high-level summary of the different strategies that's before you tonight for advice and consent. And with that, I'll stand for any additional questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Travelstead or Ms. Treasurer Eichenberg? No? Thank you. Great, thank you. I move to give advice and consent to the proposed quarterly investment strategy as outlined in the Board of Finance report. Do I have a second? Thank you, Chair, Commissioner Barbara Baca. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, approved. Thank you. We have approval. Thank you for your time. And yes, if there's no other business, Wednesday, May 25th, 2026 is the next Board of Finance at 4 p.m. here in the Ken Sanchez Chambers. We'll see you then, Treasurer and Mr. Travelstead. And if there's no other business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.